Well, okay, so you're saying different over. Okay, so different. Yeah. You wrote that as different. What is different? Right. So you would put random. Right. Not yeah, exactly. So right inside of that. Yep. Right. Right. In this case, you're saying if something is 0, then so now you have return. Return is a function. Function returns. So okay. Return like so what happens is that return operates with it's just a bit of code that
There's a function lower down on the script which returns results.
oh, it's like functions have function. But if you want, like let's say your function is called add, and it receives 2 parameters. Function passes in the call that function 200, and when I get something like 5 or 500 parameters, that's what the return is. Send something back. That makes sense. It doesn't. Well, I can go over it, but so like let me see. Can I just take a sec here? So like let me do that thing, right? So say I have a function and it's like say add, let's say, and then I have say 2 parameters in it. Like I could call it like like 1 and 2. Right? So that means that anytime I call this function that's called add, I have to send it 2 parameters.
Yep.
So then if I do something like this and I say return, and I say 1 plus 2, then whatever call add would get back.
Yeah, okay.
So now if I say I have a variable called var sum equals, and then I say function, and then I pass it 9 and 10.
So then the return is what it
Well, the function adds, yeah, this statement is what adds it together. But what return does is it sends back 19 into whatever called it. So now sum is 19.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense? That's the return. So, bad erase. Now, not every function needs a return statement, but if you want to be able to use like whatever the function did outside the function, that's what the return statement does. It gives whatever called the function, it allows you to use that, whatever it was, outside of it. But like this wouldn't output anything. This wouldn't do a console.log, right? It wouldn't output anything. It would just store 19 inside sum. But then I could go and do console.log sum, and now I'd have 19. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's good. What's the now, they're saying make it random. So if I'm not mistaken, what they're trying to do is actually have it like every time this function is called at that point, we want random number to be either 1 or 0. So that's where it's yeah. Okay. So that's a tough question. You basically want to use either 1 or 0. So this is where that math.rand will return some random number between 1 and 0. But then how do you make that a 0 or 1? That's where you basically evaluate that number. Let's say the random number is like 9. That really is like 1. Because that's closer to 1 says 0 and 2. That's why you see 0. You know what I mean? So you're basically saying that anything that's like, if if that number is less than 0.5, then it's 0. So that's what you could do. You could evaluate it that way. So you could do something like you know, ran equals, and then that math.ran business, right? So if you do math.ran, then this would give you some random number between 0 and 1. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Well, math.floor will round it down. That's what math.floor does. And math.seal would round it up. So you could do that, right? Math.floor would round it down. If the number is 0.4, then that would go to 0 with math.floor.
Yeah.
Right? So, but there's different ways you can do it. I mean, whatever you want. You know, it'll round it to it'll round it down, or that's what we're trying to do. If it rounds down, yeah. And so what you could do, depending on how you want to do it, you could even evaluate it and say like if ran, and then if ran is like less than 0.5, then you could say, you know, random equals 0. And then you could do else. Does that make sense? I mean, there's any number of ways you can do it. But this way, you're basically evaluating ran, right? And you'd be saying, if it's less than 0.5, then make random 0. If it's not less than 0.5, make random 1. You know? And now you have a random number between 0 and it's either 0 or 1.
jQuery CD on the heads, right? Remember, we're going to use a jQuery syntax. Oh, did it? Oh. Yeah. What's that?
That's just like a SQL. That's what you're trying to get.
Yeah, okay, it should be in the head. I know it goes in the body, but typically that's where you put it. Oh, geez. Harsh. I feel like that's actually more about like yeah.
Yes. So
all right, guys, just a few more minutes on that, and then we'll walk through it together. We'll bring questions, and then we'll start another. And we have any questions for you? Oh, no, I mean, yeah.
yes. No, it's not. No. One call it. But I had all that. So here's the problem. You're saying, you're saying that right. There is no, you can't. So if you scroll, you're not getting it.
Oh, because it's already.
All right, guys, that was just a kind of a warm up. How did we all do with it? Fist to 5. How did we do with it? 2, a couple 2s. That's all right. Okay, let's walk through it together, and then we'll see what kind of pain points we ran into. Discuss. I was so nicely set up before I lost my internet. Sorry, guys. All right, how many move JavaScript file outside of the code? Anybody? Part of the bonus? Bonus, I would give you an A. I would give you an A. All right. All right, Rob, you hear that? All right, got it? All right. All right, so what was the first challenges we ran into, guys? Anybody want to volunteer? Just kind of like some questions that came up out of it. Did everyone know how to make a random variable? Did nobody having trouble with that? Okay. Okay. Yeah, Duncan.
How do you get the image?
Sure. So if I was going to do it with jQuery, right, that would have been one method. Right? I can do the HTML. Some of us chose to do it in JavaScript. What's the equivalent of 8.html in JavaScript? .inner.html, that's right. So using either one of those would have been totally acceptable because either would have worked, right? That makes sense. All right. So no one had any trouble with this one. Okay. You know, basically, it's telling us to go to a whole number, and we all kind of understand what's going on with that, right? It's saying either go to a 0 or a 1, right? In this case, so based upon that, we're able to. Well, if we could skew it if we wanted to, and say, you know, random number of 3 and win most of the time, but whatever. You guys aren't cheaters. All right. Who tried to do a count? Do a count. Okay. All right. So I'm doing the same thing. Right? We're able to set up a HTML element and connect to it, say whether or not you won or lost, and count how many losses there were. Right. We only updated this ID particularly when you lost, when you won. Let's see, what kind of questions do you guys come up with? You guys aren't much with me today. Let's do a big power clap. Get all big. Do it. Get some energy. All right. Guys, any particular thing that kind of stumped you that maybe the class could benefit from? No? You're spelling stuff wrong, right? We typed in image SCR. We typed in image, okay, just Ray in the back. So yeah, there's other ways to do that. A lot of you, I noticed, also had a little trouble with the escaping, right? when you're calling the inner HTML, some of you had some problems with it. The backslash, right, escapes the quote if it's going to be in quotes, right? Or you can use a single ticks if you're using quotes outside. It's kind of just some tricks that you kind of run into. I don't know. I just want to make sure I covered everything. Oh, hi. Yeah, did anybody do any fancy styling or anything? Did anybody do anything kind of cool? We only had like 15 minutes to work on it. No? All right. I expected. All right. All right. Since you guys are so active, I'm going to have somebody present this to the next part of the class. All right, guys, who can tell me what this is? Anybody? Brady? All right. All right. This, yeah. What is this? Remember my guy from the thing before, right? So this is referring to the element or the scope of what that particular element is. So if you call it this right out of the gate, you're going to get the window, right? The DOM, right? If you call it within an object, you're going to get the object properties, right? So typically, if you guys remember my boxes example, right? Where you could click on any three of the boxes and they all had the same class. Yet we can pull specifically which one it was by using the this. The this. Do you guys remember that? All right, I can see everybody's hands. Does anyone not remember? Okay. All right, so yeah, anyway, it's like it's good to have when your code has multiple items of the same type or in the same class, right? You can also do it on the same element, but as we know, we shouldn't have multiple of the same IDs on the page, right? If we're going to do that, we should use a class. All right. So, okay. So let's move on. Let's work with a partner together. Let's open up this example I'm supplied to you, and we'll answer any questions. So work with a partner next to you. Just kind of walk through it, try to understand what's going on, and we'll dive into that a little deeper.
Candy here. This demo.
So you're doing this.
Well, model the object properties.
Looks like yeah, right.
If you look at the section kind of like what change that. Oh. So that makes
I'm so.
Oh, okay.
So
This is still a function of an object. This object. You got it?
yeah, that so. Really before anything else, we should do that.
Yeah. So we're in an object.
Yep.
So here's our first function. And it's only your second.
I mean, there's any number
So
of
you
ways.
because you're
His
in
way, he basically.
object 5, this number is this object.
So then.
Oh, I see.
The variable function, it's still inside of the object. Like, this looks like an object, but it's a variable.
So,
You guys, feel free to cut out the chosen one block down below in that object. That whole the chosen one down. Yeah, just take that out. That's the syntax is wrong. It's I'll get messed up with this, so just skip it.
So basically, well, this. Well, usually it's so it's basically so like outside of that, the object has names. But inside of it, you're referring to remember the example that I showed? Okay, yeah. So what? So basically, like let's say you do a jQuery selection that selects like with the same. I want to do something. Everyone, I don't want to pick up because it was not equal. Yeah. You can think of instead of targeting it directly with this, iterating on this. So yeah.
If you have
No, you don't. I'll confirm like the backup strategy.
You can just so what we're trying to do is they're saying like jQuery so it's like I loop iteration one, the first one, this is the second iteration. Instead of targeting see we have so we're gonna loop. This is yeah, there because like let's say this one is like only released in specific and then what this means is basically this for the first one, this is that. For the second one, this is not sample. The first one, right? We're talking about ice or a child. So the first time this moves 3 times. So the first time this the second time that guy.
This one you did. He explained to me in the beginning. Yeah.
So this really just refers to. So what this is
Well, I did. Like, this we can see. I don't even something
All right, guys, let's do a big power clap. Come back together. Early on yours. Big power clap. Come back together. Yeah. That stuff's kind of hard. How do we all do like fist to five with this stuff? Everybody fist to five? Just want to see where everybody's at with that one. Okay. Yeah. So typically, right? I kind of went over what this is used for. So it's good to have a good understanding of what this is capturing, but your applications that you're building, you're not going to say, well, I wonder what this is going to be. You know, you're going to have an intent in mind, right? So you're not necessarily just going to go, oh, I'm going to use this on a window or something, right? You're going to say, okay, this is an object that I'm referring to, or this is a specific element within a class that I'm referring to, right? There's a better use case in mind, but it's important to understand these basics. If simply to not just to understand them. So I wish I could cover up the answers here. I don't know if I can. All right. All right. Okay, so what did we find out that first console log put up to? What did we think it did? The first this. Anybody? The window. Did say window. Did we all predict it was going to say window? How many predicted said it was going to be window and it was window? All right. Right? That's tricky. How many thought that it was going to point to outside, whatever outside is? All right. How many said something completely other than those two options? How many said, hey, I have no idea what that's going to point to? All right. There you go. All right. Yes, in fact, right, that would have pointed to the window, right? So if we would have ran a console log this in this case, then it would have pointed to the window. The reason why is because we're not pointing to any specific object within here, right? This isn't an object. This is a function, right? This doesn't have any kind of scope at all attached to it, right? It's just a function. So even though we're assigning it to something, it doesn't mean that this element would be console logged out here. Okay? It's kind of a weird concept, but think of everything as being, here's your outside world. I'm not necessarily creating objects for you to refer to. I'm just saying, here's this thing. Nothing is being created outside of the variable that's literally building, right? So there's no sense, it has no idea to know that. There's more of a reason behind that. Okay, so, oh no, don't cheat. Okay, so I clicked on a button, or I have a button here, and I want to refer to it. So what's this going to do? Is it going to refer to the button right down here? Or is it refer to the window? Or is it refer to outside? How many thought outside? All right, how many thought window? All right, how many thought button? After that. That was kind of an easy one, and that's like a really typical use case, right? I have a button, I have a function that's going on click. I can refer to anything that's happening with that button. That is a real typical situation, right? I'm gonna have a button, I can refer to that button all within here, right? The click function, I don't have to say every time, okay, what I'm referring to, yeah, it's the IB button. I can just say this. Right? I don't have to refer to the jQuery element. Do you guys understand that conceptually, kind of? Okay. Like that one. It makes me happy. All right. Okay, so then we have the final one. We're creating an object. Now remember, this isn't a function, right? We're creating an object called Bob. Okay, we're assigning some properties to it. Okay. And what would this console log out to right here? Would this console, who thought this was going to console out to who's Bob, the function? All right. How many thought was going to create Bob, the object? All right. How many thought was going to go to outside? No? What did it point to? This kind of tricked up some of us because the order of how the DOM loaded these in timing events was kind of off. Did anybody notice that? I kind of pointed out to a few of you, but if you really look closely at the console log, it looked weird, right? You got results that were strange. It was like, oh, wait, the button was supposed to be next, but this wasn't. Did anybody notice that? Or do you guys just kind of skip by that? Yeah. The reason, oh, let me answer this first. This is button, okay? That would have been button. So let me comment this one out here because this is actually fixed in this version. And then I'll run it quick. All right, let's do it this way. Oh, actually, this ran in order for me. Huh. Okay. Well, in some cases, I didn't see one in order, but I guess mine it did. So, yeah. So, what object was this, guys? Right down here is line 43. Does anybody know? The Bob object, right? Remember, we were able to say, oh, here's Bob, first name's going to be Bob, last name's going to be Smith. Oh, there's a function, right? Who is Bob? There's another function called full name, right? We can call those within that object, right? Who has questions about that? You guys, all right, who understands it, fist of 5? All right, okay. All right, well, we'll cover more over this. Don't worry too much about this. Just conceptually understand what this is. And we can select out this example later on as well, just to kind of cover it, just so you understand how it's used, why we want to use it. I don't know how to cover that, but I think that'll pretty much covers that. All right, let's move on to something fun. Oh yeah, did you slide it up? Oh, thanks guys. Yeah. Yeah, ignore the bottom piece with the Keanu Reeves. You guys didn't cover that part of it. That's how it's supposed to look. It's supposed to be outside of it. Yeah, but didn't really explain that too well. All right, guys. So what we're going to cover is first we're going to cover window timeout. All right. So you see this a lot of times when you're waiting for a delay response of a function, right? So in this particular case, this is a syntax you kind of need to memorize more than anything else, right? What I have here is setTimeout function, right? I'm calling a function, right? And I'm setting a timer. It says 5,000. That's a lot of seconds, right? It's a lot of seconds. Who can tell me what the 5,000 is? Milliseconds. That's right. So this is going to run for how long? Until this runs? 5 seconds until this function runs. And this particular thing that's going to come up in 5 seconds is, what's that? Alert. Yeah. So that's how the timeout function works. You could wrap a ton of stuff in here. You can wrap all kinds of different things in here and have it run specifically this function in 5 seconds, right? So if you're delaying for something to run, right? Makes sense? ClearTimeout is basically saying that if I don't want to wait, like if I hit this within the 5 seconds and I call this function the clearout, this window timeout up here that I'm calling would clear. Would no longer do that. Okay? So basics of it. So you guys want to see an example how that works? All right. All right. Oh yeah. Also, I did want to mention this. This is just vanilla JavaScript. We don't need jQuery for this, right? There's no jQuery at all involved in this. So I can cover that quickly. All right, I think I had some fun solutions to run through, but you know, I'm going to do that afterwards. All right, so let's just go through this real quick together, guys. Let's try to understand what's going on. Right? Justin, we said what to this button up here? What is? Right, and what is it though? It's ID, right? Yeah, so when we know for a fact, they're probably going to be referencing that down below, right? But probably, since there's not any jQuery at this stage, it's probably going to be a window get element by what? ID. We can kind of predict what's going to happen here, right? Same thing here. What's this ID? And then cancel, right? So okay, so automatically we're getting set up with some buttons. Okay, oh no, there is jQuery, so I guess we don't have to worry about that syntax. All right. And then we're doing what with this? Why does it say bar delay button alert? Everybody? What are we doing? Just create a variable, right? No big deal. All right, and then down below, what's happening here? Right, just a timeout. Set timeout function. How long is this going to wait to run before that alert comes up? 5 seconds. All right. Yeah, what are all those buttons for? I have no idea. I'm going to find out. All right. So I'm waiting. Oops. You see that? So I loaded the page, and we're going to wait. Oh, that's how a timeout works, right? It looks like we have some other stuff we do. That's probably part of an exercise you guys are going to do, so I don't want to show you that. You know what? I'm going to go over and this one I built just last night. I thought maybe we'd go over it quick. So I could start a count. See it? That's pretty cool, right? I can stop it. I can reset it. Start it again. Stop it. Start it. Right? All this is being used with that same function, right? You guys can probably predict some of the elements used here, right? We've got some buttons, right? I'm updating the HTML or the value, right? So I'll slack that one out, and maybe we can go through. I just don't like being up here talking the whole time. I feel like we all should be more interactive. All right, let's just go through it. Let's just go through it. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, this is one count. I built this yesterday because I didn't like the example as much, but I know there's a lot of stuff you guys probably haven't seen quite yet, so don't get too like overwhelmed at all. But I'm calling a function here on click. You guys remember how that works, right? On click, that's going to call a start count function. This is going to call a stop count function. Reset count. All right, let's look how simple those look. Okay, so I have a timed count. Take a look at this thing. So I'm getting the element value text box, the value. I'm setting the value to C, whatever C is. Initially, it's 0, right? I'm adding C plus 1, right? Which is going to give 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. You guys get it, right? And then what am I doing here? Setting a timeout and calling what? Timed count. Where's timed count? Well, what is it? The function. Where? Right there. So what's this in effect doing? Calling itself. How often? Every second. That's right. So, okay, let's skip that for a second. Yeah, that's obviously not being called right now. Like I said, number one, reading procedurally, we don't necessarily step around like that, right? Let's go to the next part. Start count. Okay. Well, let's just look into what it's doing. You know it's not running yet, but let's just take a look at it. Okay, so it says here, if the timer is on, oh, sorry, if the timer is not on, then turn it on, right? And then do what? Yeah, start the loop, right? Pretty simple. All right, then stop counting, right? When you clear timeout. Okay, and you remember what the clear timeout is? That's a built-in function, right? It's this one here. I can call this at any time, right? To a variable that's set to that. Oops, wrong one. Oh, I guess I'm in Sublime, sorry. All right, I'm just going to be, all right. Okay. So yeah, clear timeout T. So this isn't a function that's within the page. That's just a JavaScript function, right? Okay, so then we're going to reset the count. So I'm saying the timer is on 0. I shut off the timer, stop the timer. Okay, I set C to 0. And that said, okay, document get element value text box value is C. I could have just said equals 0, right? But just being consistent. You guys have any questions about this piece of it? Something look kind of weird, or is this pretty straightforward? In class, you guys are going to, in an activity in just a few minutes, you're going to be doing a stopwatch timer yourself. So I just want to make sure you guys understand conceptually kind of what's happening. Yeah. The T? Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah. Go. Oh, yeah. Okay. So sometimes you'll see Booleans written as 1 and 0s. They in fact some of the same properties, right? You call them the same way. Yeah, I absolutely. That's a great question. I should have set this to true, and up here I should have set this to false. Yeah, that way we would have worked with it. But yeah, sometimes you'll see ones and zeros used in the same way. Okay, that's a really good question. Yeah, Doug.
How does it tell the difference between, like, if you just wrote a 1 or 0 normally? Like, you don't put in quotes, right?
You mean up there?
Yeah.
Oh,
like if you were to just set that variable to 1 or
Oh.
0, but how does it know if it's a Boolean?
Right. Yeah, I wish I would have done that because that is kind of confusing, right? So really, this is saying it's not 0, right? It's saying it is 1, right? At the same time, saying not 0 would be true, right? So let's just go through this. This would be a lot easier.
But like if you wanted to do that in the future, like if you wanted to represent 1 and 0, do you just type it in as 1 and 0, or?
Yeah, right? Because a 0 doesn't mean there's going to be nothing.
Yeah.
Right? A 1 means there's going to be something. Right? So in a sense, you can use those as true and false in the same way, but you don't get a lot of the same effects by using a Boolean. A Boolean uses some of the other features too, additional features. I guess just for simplicity, that's why I did it this way. But we could have said, yeah, and it's important to know, like, also the operators that are used within those, right? Because that's not always the condition, right? So I'm trying to think of a better way to say that. Null sometimes is considered a false, right? Or if it's not set, it can be considered a false. Sorry, wrong language. Yeah, that's an excellent question. With that guide, you can kind of make a little more sense of how that works together. Typically, when you're just using true and false, just use true and false. That's just best practice. Good question. Anybody else? No? Cool. Well, that was my fun count, right? I've made pretty buttons for you guys, right? Look at those things. No, yeah, I just stole it. Yeah, just stole it. Found some good CSS and went, yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, I just stole that. It's like, this is great. Yeah. What's that? Yeah, yeah. Yo, well, I mean, it was, look at all that. I mean, come on. What is the more stuff happening? The text shadow even? I mean, yeah. This important wasn't necessary, but I'll put it there anyway. All right. Anyway, yeah.
You can just set the one. Can we set value stats change only or?
Say it again.
Set only.
So when I'm resetting, what's happening? So yeah, first I'm just stopping the count, right? Just calling that first one. I'm setting the value that's being used for the count up here. That time value equals C. The same one is down here. C is for count, right? Setting C to 0, and then I'm just populating the text box with a C, whatever that is. Happens to be 0 in this case. Of course, I could have just swapped out and said 0, got rid of that altogether, but I had to reset the C anyway, right? So I might as well use it, right? Okay, additional questions, guys? This is good. I feel like we're talking about stuff. It's so quiet tonight. It's weird. Did too long of vacation. All right, cool. Well, that's that. Yeah, you know, it's pretty fun. Okay, I think I'm gonna skip this one. But I just want you guys to understand the execution context, right? So there is a kind of a challenging piece to this that we didn't go much over in this class, but we need to, right? And Rob was having some of the scope issues earlier, so I added this late. But the this keyword always refers to the this of the current scope, right? So that may change, right? It may be an object, it may be a window, right? It may be a document referred to, right? But it changes anytime you wrap something in a function, in a sense, right? True. Sort of true. But we'll get into some of why and why not to do that at a later time. Don't worry too much about it. Just be aware that it's there. All right, so let's do the simple timer recap instruction as, I guess, signally alone. And then so we'll select it out. So what we're going to do is make a timer that sends an alert and plays the sound after 15 seconds. Okay? We'll have a send alert when 5 seconds has passed, 10 seconds has passed, and when the time is up, you will use this to time the break. Time the break. It's a short break, 15-second break. I love it, man. I'm glad I read through all these. So yeah, so that's that's it. Let's just make that timer and see how you guys do. Raise your hand if you have any questions about it. After this, we're going to go into setInterval, which is a different function altogether. So I want to make sure you guys have a good grasp of how this one works. Yeah, check it out. Oh, check it out. Okay. No, I did that. Yeah. Would it help if I brought up that syntax again, guys? All right. Nice. Yeah, you are. Look up this. Right, so that's an ID. Well, it's an ID. Let's go down. How do you set it? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's, so then just that.
Oh, we do. Okay. Yes. Okay. No. Try that. Yeah. That's an HTML. So look up the audio source in HTML. Look up how to play on.
On the right track.
So you can set timeout once you don't really use it.
Okay, now.
As long as you hold up everything.
So then it writes more than HTML. Oh, that's
Yeah, this is just a weird place where it's now I have the audio. So if you whatever that is, how does that just yeah. Audio is the audio. Yeah. So we gotta all that. Yeah. Yes. Oh, I have to check it. Yeah. Design. So, so basically. Well, so that's just You don't need to, it's already in the
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That was, yeah. Brand new. Just good.
Wow, that is nice.
So the home browser.
That's
right. So then you can't just like, that's interesting. So then I guess that begs the question for a way to. No, I understand, but I mean, if you don't want to do that, it must be obvious. Well, no, I know, but I mean, if you post, right? Like, it's interactive, or it's just like, I don't.
So I just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess it depends on like, how we interact, specifically. Right. Yeah. But I wonder if like, writing something. Okay, so timeout, right? So yeah, yeah, I've never seen that. You should Google and see if there's a solution to that. I'm sure there is. This is like a whole black out.
Yeah, that's
So good to go?
well, I mean, it's always.
So they're saying here, so they're saying you want to use this text.
Yeah.
Or if you press the key, then that's on the next thing.
So how do you jump this? Okay, let's get rid of the. Yeah, it doesn't, he already knows it's. We're saying right. So yeah, yeah. So you just. Oh, I think it's. Well, you could consider that.
All right, I'm gonna let you guys go on break real quick. I just want to cover one little element that I think could be a little more clear. You guys with me? 1 second, big power clap. All right. All right. So this space here is just used for a function, right? So I could call this function name, right? And that's just going to call a function. So anywhere on my page I have a function name, it's going to run it within how long? 5 seconds, right? So this doesn't need to have parentheses, right? Because it's already a function. It already knows it's going to be a function, right? We don't have to specify that. The reason I had this code in here is because I was building a function within this particular function. All right, I was building a function within it, nesting the function inside it. I didn't need to do it that way. I was just using it for the example. But just as simply, I could have said, okay, function 1. Doesn't matter, right? Yeah. If your function has a parameter that it needs within this context, that's a fantastic question. Yeah, go ahead.
So after the number, the interval,
Yeah.
put as many arguments.
But I'm kind of wondering what the context is that, right?
Context, I don't know.
If I was going to specify like test or whatever, is this referring? Am I recalling that function?
So what you're doing right now is calling function one and whatever result is there. There's comma after the 5,000, that's it there, then it would be passed as a parameter.
That absolutely makes sense. Yeah. So technically, all right. I don't want you guys to get into it too much, but yeah, we can specify a parameter. We're not going to do it at this point yet, but it can happen outside of the scope of what this is. But that's a good question. Yeah. Good answer. Anybody else have any questions about that? Do we need to call a variable? Do we need to assign this to a variable, do you think? Steven? All right. Would that work just as well? Yeah, all right. 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 Good. Thanks for bringing up. Yeah. If I don't set a variable to it, I have no idea how to set a variable to it to call it. Now, truthfully, if I just call this, it would call out the timer that's on the window. So technically, I would just say that. But this would allow for multiple timers, right? All right. Who wants to set a timer for 15 minutes? Who wants to make a 15-minute timer? Come on, somebody be a yeah. Credit? All right, go ahead and start it. Give us a big like song when it's done. Got it? All right, everybody else go break. Hey, you volunteered. You want to do JavaScript or do you want to do jQuery? First,
Oh.
but if we can but that's kind of let's just scrap all of it. Let's just do JavaScript or jQuery. So you never know how to do this jQuery. No, we're just gonna change something. Yeah. Get rid of like all that document. Just that. Okay, now time left is so how do we specify that?
Oh, you can understand. Oh,
Now,
okay.
we're using JavaScript. So we can actually use jQuery.
Well, it's fine. I'm not trying to.
Why don't we just do documents?
What? Well, it's how you set your whole brand.
Oh, that's right.
That is right. You gotta put something on that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you heard that. I'd say 70%.
So this will
Right now, like, that's like,
Y'all
change.
No, also. This is 10 second window, that's a 5 second.
No, it's here. Maybe.
That's all. I didn't change that, right?
I thought that was weird. Yeah, okay. So, okay. Yeah. it's the same. You always say that.
Like, I can walk, but like it's sort of feel good. And I can do it. I feel like I don't know anything.
It's funny because we're right. Like if I run something, no one really do I know how to do it? No. Look it up. How do you add HTML? You know, you just where exactly like right now it's good in practice, but it's it's also something that eventually just come.
Yeah. And like I'm starting all this from zero, so I think like trying to learn JavaScript like
Right. Now you're
going from zero and like
yeah, no, it's like not. Yeah, no, it is. So yeah.
I can make it right.
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
You've been to him?
Wait, actually,
I think that's why it was like that.
oh. Just be like,
3 hours. Yeah, it's the same thing. So we need to set up another variable, just like you could use. The clear timeout was just to clear if we wanted to set up a button that said like, forget about this one altogether. So so now taking us to the bottom line. That's what you down there. Now get rid of that. We set time up to that. And now we go back to that's not your time, we're using that as a function. Kind of using whatever. That's the function. We need to run now we're going to run 10-second function. I think that's right.
No, that's right too. Like that's why.
Let's take a look. Audio. Right. Oh, sorry. I'm going to press.
It's too much.
You went in the right order.
I'm so excited. Let me, I gotta double check that syntax.
Here we go. 1, 4,
Yeah, but that's because maybe we get cooking machines.
Everyone knows that.
Oh,
Oh, they did use the best. So we started.
I feel like
that's what I came with this here. Let's do this instead. Let's bring that video.
yeah.
And let's just copy that. Yeah. Right above here.
then it's like.
Yeah, run out.
So I got this line out.
It helps.
Letters and my guess is probably.
That was one of the worst days of my life. Like a tired day.
Yeah. And I don't know how
Yeah.
I feel like I put them in places they don't belong. Oh, okay.
So try doing that. Work, get it all done. Yeah, like, couldn't figure it out. Talk to the guy.
That way, you mean like
Well, actually, like, like an actual character that has, talk about JavaScript. You know,
right. Well, I had, you know. Because the only reason I have that question is because when you finish the or the last letter before it change the next letter.
No, that makes sense.
oh,
Yeah.
You don't actually have to.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I have ideas on so once like
So it should, I mean, it should, it doesn't matter, right? It should-
I don't know when I'll say
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would do it. If you try to just right Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't make sense.
Oh,
How do you?
okay.
If you find something that exploits that. So, creating that.
Right, which is why like
Yeah, yeah. That's the problem.
Oh my gosh. I just think literally for I have to stop that. I never did. I was thinking like, what? There you go.
That's we'll have to look at
Well,
it.
great.
Don't know.
I wasn't confused enough before.
It should it help if it's if I say it should have worked.
Yeah.
All right, is our timer up? Way up? Oh. Oh. Nice job making that work, man. Yeah. Everybody give Steve a round of applause. Woo! Yeah. Can you run it again for us? Oh. Jeez. Oh, look at that. I got the same one. How many people got this uncut in promise down exception play failed? Dang. Who knows why? Go ahead, Rob. You know. What's that?
Don't let you autoplay stuff without your app.
Oh, that makes sense, right? Oh, so it's just like a mobile operation, right?
You have to do something.
Okay.
Or else
Okay. So you need to have an action that actually calls it. That makes sense. Okay, so if you click on the screen after it's loaded or make some sort of interactivity with the DOM, then that'll pass. Right? Are you trying it? Oh, awesome. Perfect. Yeah.
But that did it for me, but then I fixed something similar to this, and then I didn't have to.
Really?
Yes.
Well, you shouldn't have to do an update. This is just an interaction with the screen. Did it work that time, Lindsay?
Do I have to do it?
Well, once you refresh it, it just needs to have some sort of action with the DOM. So whatever that means, I don't know what is defined as a. So.
Oh, great Odin's Raven.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Had to.
Awesome. Thanks for looking that up, man. I guess see your Google food is strong. Yeah. This is so this is something we have to typically watch. So the reason why Google had this update and mobile have this kind of protection is they don't want you to load stuff to use up people's data, do that type of stuff without them requesting it, right? So if you had a website and you're like, oh, everybody come to my website, and you download 2 gigs of music to their computer without them doing anything about it, right? That could be kind of a violation, right? Like, oh, wow, thanks for all that. Now my computer's fault, right? So with this kind of safety, it's saying that the user interacted this, or the user requested this website to do it, right? What would stop me from creating a button saying this is the best button ever, and then creating this? I don't, nothing, but.
You're wondering about that too, just a mouse event. Did you just create a mouse event?
Or scroll, I mean, anything, right?
So you could just hit the mouse move like 5 pixels left and trigger off my song.
Right.
Download, right?
Right.
So it doesn't really help.
Well, I mean, if something is running in the background, right? Or if I open up a website and I open up a new tab, and then in that first tab I had all kinds of craziness going on, I mean, there would be really no way, right? I mean, so in this case, you have to interact with that particular DOM in order for that to run. So let's say we decided we're gonna have like some video load, right? So we come on this page and we have like a 10 gig video load. When we get to our website, we open up a new browser. So they're on a phone, they just get a new tab. Like, oh, I'm interacting with this website. Didn't see that other tab that loaded and is downloading and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, right?
Oh,
So, right. So in that case, you can totally hide the fact that you're downloading this. This is saying interact with this particular DOM before downloading the content. And I'm sure, I mean, Firefox and IE are probably not far behind if they don't already have it. So IE will have it in about 10, 15 years. So. Yeah. That was kind of fun. Oh, you guys missed my slide. It's so good. No. Nice. All right. So let's cover a new function since we're all experts at that one, right? Set timeout expression of the function, right? And the timeout is how we handle a timeout, right? So this runs the code after the timeout. So we say function ABC in 5,000, like 5 seconds, it'll just run function ABC in 5 seconds, right? Okay. Set interval, right? This runs the code in intervals with the lengths of the timeout in between. So this will continuously run until we stop or clear interval. Okay? We have a clear timeout, we have a clear interval. So this runs the same way. We specify a function, we specify the timeout, right? You guys understand the two? Remember that fun with timer thing that we sent out earlier? I was doing that loop that I was calling that original function. Remember that? I'll go back to it. Yeah. Yeah. This essentially does the same thing, right? This will continue to run whatever function this is every interval. All right? Questions about that? Or the difference between the two? Yeah.
Yeah, where are we going to get the slides? You got slides?
You want me to select these slides?
No, not really.
Oh yeah, after the end of class? Yeah. Yeah, I will at the end of class. Oh, whoa, that's ahead. All right. Oh, is that ahead? No, not really. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do something fun. We're gonna do a stopwatch activity. All right. I can show you how this works. Oh, actually, let's slack out. Let's do this part first. Let's do the interval unsolved first. Let's slack that one out. And then just go over quick. We're not going to spend more than like 5 minutes on it. I think you guys conceptually get it, so I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on it. And what are you supposed to do with it? That's a fantastic question. Okay, so with this particular thing, we're supposed to do in teams. So we're going to partner up, explain to each other what's happening in the file, okay? And then after it's done, I'm going to go over it. So really, let's just spend 5 minutes on it, tops. Talk to somebody, just go line by line, and just discuss what's happening.
What's the height of that variable?
Yo,
Oh, wait, go ahead. We're done.
Just say that.
I down and want to play.
I think it's all. Well, you could modify this some more, so that the user put the number from. How else could you modify it? How else could you extend it? More than 1 second, yeah, that's an idea.
Oh, that's, yeah, I love it. It's like.
Or you could just change how often you run.
No, that's all. It's
So the real question isn't so much how you can extend this. The question is how could you use intervals in your own application? Like think about building a game, right? So say you had a game and you had like levels and certain tasks had to be done in a certain amount of time. And maybe as you achieve some goal, you buy yourself more time. And as you make a mistake, you lose time. Does that make sense? So you can have a countdown. Oh shit, I just lost 10 seconds. You know, oh good, I got 60 more seconds back. Think about how you can apply where we're going.
How is that what they're doing with doing a pop-up as how close into terrible function after 10 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, probably, although honestly, they're probably not using something like setInterval. So the reason for that is we haven't talked about this yet, but JavaScript is single threaded, which means that things happen in order. And if something is slow, then nothing else can happen until after that is finished. So what they do is they're probably using something much more involved to add that kind of like pseudo multi-threading job. So that you can have that little thing running in a certain area without affecting it. But it's the same concept. Ajax is different, right? Ajax just makes some call to some external API or something like that. So that, but you might, for example, an Ajax call can lead to problems in a single threaded environment, right? What if I need to make an Ajax call somewhere, I need to get some data back before I can, and then after I make the Ajax call and get something back, I then continue on my application. If that Ajax call takes a long time, then the rest of my application will be in a single thread. What's that? It depends on how it's written. Yes, but that's one of the problems that external calls can have, right? In a single thread environment, I'm waiting on something, and nothing else can happen. So you're right, Ajax is kind of designed to get around it, but not all. How you write.
All right, guys, that was enough time. I just want to spend a few minutes on it.
But if you do it just with your browser,
And that one's supposed to work.
it's a really big problem. Actually.
Yeah, it should work.
It may not be here.
The stop doesn't work? Oh, weird. Did you add anything else yet? No? Okay, let's go through this real quick, guys. Big power clap. All right. Right. Did anybody have any questions? Right. I think most of us are able to walk through it. Right. We're setting the number to 100. Right. We're calling some variable interval ID. Right. We don't know what it's going to do yet. We have a stop button that's going to call a function called stop. A resume button that's going to call the run. All right. The biggest part of this that we're just learning about today is right here. So what's that doing? Anybody want to volunteer? Right. All right, it's calling it once every second, right? Unless what happens? Right? Right, and what does that do? Stops it. Stops interval ID, right? Stops that particular function from happening, right? Or that particular interval from happening. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this isn't mine. I fixed it.
Uh-oh.
My look, yeah, you want to see perfection, right? My no, I'm just kidding. My code is awesome. Yeah, no, yeah, no. There's a bug here, and yeah, you can trick it into thinking that you're setting new timers, right? Right. So, yeah, this does have that issue. Does anybody have? Actually, before we move on to the next one, can we slack out that other ZZZ one quick? We just have a minute to cover it. Simple clock. Yeah, this one's fun too. This one's awesome. Look at that. Woohoo! What's happening? The craziness. All the stuff that we learned so far today, we can create this, right? Look at that code. Look how simple that is. You guys get it? Yeah? All right. So I just included this so you guys can play with it later, but I just want to cover it super quick, right? I'm doing an interval, right? Setting it to my timer. Yes. My timer is down here, okay? Setting the date to, what's the date going to be? Right now, right? Okay, and then we're actually saying two local time. Don't worry about it. It's a method of this particular object that was called over here, date. Okay, this is kind of new. Don't worry too much about it. There's a bunch of things that you can add here, different methods. This particular one is just making the time string here local, what your client clock is. So what are we doing? Every time that this is hit, every second, right? It's setting the inner HTML to the demo, right up there. And that's all it does. Yeah. This is calling a new object in a sense, right? We're using a new object. We haven't seen that yet, I guess. With built-in, with any object, you can call essentially a version of it. You're creating a new one, right? And you're defining it. It isn't necessary that you set it up that way. I know it's kind of a new thing, but that's something we're going to get into in just a couple of weeks too. Don't worry too much about it. It's just saying this is going to be a new date object. It's going to be a date object, not a new date object. All right. Any questions about that, guys? Otherwise? All right. Anything? No? Cool. That one's super, super fun. See, I told you. All right, so let's do a stopwatch activity. If you want to select that one out. All right, so there's a zip file. There's a stopwatch.js. I'm going to follow the instructions in that file. You don't need to touch the HTML file. All the styling, all that part I can handle. So let's use jQuery and the timing events that we learned today to create a stopwatch with a start, stop, and reset buttons. All right, if you want to be fancy, you can add a lap timer, right? So it records whenever, and you can use some CSS to style the timer. All right. So your end result will look something like this. Right, you have the timer going. You can set start, stop, reset, laps if you want to, but that's, like I said, that's extra. Just get it to function. And we'll play around with that for a while. Let's work on that for like 20 minutes, and then I'll go over it together, and then work on another activity. All right, guys. Raise your hand if you have questions.
But then it'll go. So like the question of like why? Yeah, this is not that. Yeah, not like that. Change. And say, oh.
And you guys, you have that code from the other activities, so you can start using that set timer one. I can bring up the example too if you guys want. Do you want me to leave up the activity instructions, or do you want me to leave up the example timer code? Example? This one? Does that help? Guys, feel free to raise a hand if you have any questions or anything. Assistance. Anybody know how to get the current time? They remember how that worked? I kind of flew by in that one example that I did. Let me pull that up. Oh, why was that confusing? Oh. So, yeah, the directions are slightly misleading here. I think you don't need to have it actually be the current time that it is. It's the time of your stopwatch, right? So just for some assistance, this should look something like this. Some of you had this part right? Down here, we're going to create a converted. You can just do it like this. Basically saying, okay, stopwatch has a method down below called time converter. We take that stopwatch time that we defined up here, right, and convert it. All right, so it's not actually taking any time. So I didn't want to confuse everybody by using that new date thing that we discussed earlier. This has nothing to do with the time it is right now. It's just the time to do with the stopwatch. Does that make sense? Yeah, no, sort of. I'll leave that. Feel free to work with partners, guys, if you want to with this. It's okay. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh, well, they're saying that in this reset function, we call it function, we actually use change what is inside of this way. We have this right here. Oh, that region. All right. So here's the thing. It's zero. It's zero in the page was loaded. And it's the idea is that as we get started, that the values will change. So what we're saying is that we can reset that. We want to reset it back. That makes sense. No, this is really simple because this is just a shell call for jQuery. And use it as jQuery. So basically, if you want to update that string, well, how do we select something? Yes, exactly, right? Exactly. Well, iteration was a jump to the side, but basically, jQuery basically exactly the same dollars.
Oh, so you type that.
But that's all, just saying that when this reset inside of something, it's going to change the values. Second attribute, of course, we can change this. But I could. This is right. But the see how this is involved. This is saying that this selector will only work on what it did. So in other words, if this was set, it's there. This will only work, right? This is saying only update the
Yeah.
So this. Not unique to whatever else you use with, but unique to it should be only one. That's true. I'm just saying that that's what so I'm just trying to explain. It's narrow. I'm not saying anything is only this. That's you're right, but it's fine. But you do understand. So that's what it's really so now we're going to start experiments. Yeah, I'm starting to count. So, did you write this? Yeah, so you did that. You did this. Okay, so I made it very well. Okay, so first off, when they say that, we have a function, that's what we're saying. So we can do this. I want to change that to over here, right? Space yeah. Well, so okay, think of it this way. That doesn't do that here. It's just because what we're doing is we're using that variable to sort of indicate whether or not that's all. We're just saying this is a point to I do this or so we're saying it's just sort of we're kind of identifying oh shit. But that and this doesn't make the we're just sort of setting so right, when I start, yeah, right. So basically what we're saying here is if this was here, once you're
Last day.
What's wrong? You got it. You did all. This. So you're the function. That's what I'm saying that you're right or wrong, but
setInterval is.
you mean like, that's a previous one.
All right.
So this is not necessarily, but another way of writing this. So if we did. And of course we could. We could set up past it. So we could start. Inside of our object. See how we're inside of it. So that means that inside of it. You want to basically.
Really, really.
Doesn't say what. Yeah, I don't disagree, but in this case, we're just trying to start. So. So we could run this on something, but I'm just not sure in the JavaScript.
Yeah, so one is. Yeah.
In my book.
So right now, that would be sad. This is a start. I don't know. So yeah. Now. Let's this should be your stop. Okay, so we know the second part of this, right? And that would basically set up backward false, which makes sense. Saying on that variable, yes, stop. So then they're saying it's clear. So I think that you're right.
So then that would do.
And over here, you want to stop it. So you can stop it. That's clear. Yeah, we just want to stop this. Sorry, you need to stop it. You need to stop it. Sorry. But there's some sort of this inside stuff.
Stop. Right, so on pages.
Yes. 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 So what you can do
That's already.
This one.
Oh, that's.
Whatever you want.
Oh, that's why it's been, oh, that's why. And then.
I was just going to display that.
Oh, you're doing the one step? Go ahead. You got it? Nice work, man.
So.
I don't understand.
I ran into the I ran into that. How are you storing the left?
So really,
Here's basically like creating a string. Lab plus your lab value plus time.
Yeah, no, that's. Sorry, hey, I'm way over my time. Sorry, big power clap. All right. So we'll Slack out this solution as well, so you guys can spend a little bit of time with it. But it seemed like a lot of us were getting at least started, got the count started to work, right? A lot of us were. Super cool. I think I might skip over the slideshow example. Okay, there is another activity. Let's see. I might skip over this and just go over the last one, and I'll send this one out. But the slideshow activity is basically a timing event where images will come onto the screen, and then like a new image will come up. So it's kind of like creates like a slideshow. So it might be something you guys are on work on your own time, not necessary. But let's just talk through this for a minute. And then I just want to make sure I kind of end on time because I have a problem not doing that. So, all right. All right, who got a working example with the lap times recorded? All right, a couple of us. Who got the initial counter to work? All right, good. Most of us. Who got the reset function to work? The reset. The reset. You guys who got reset? You didn't get the reset to work? All right. All right. All right. All we had to do for the reset was set the text, right, or the HTML to 000. That's pretty much it. That's all we had to do is replace that, right? If we had laps, like in my case, I had laps. I cleared all my laps, right, with the div. Okay. All right. So some of us were using this instead of stopwatch.count, which technically is fine. There should be a reason why I can't do that. It's confusing to me. I like to see the actual object that I'm using just in case that there's other ones going on. Right? I don't know. I think Nick's doing it with this. I think it's totally fine. But the stopwatch, I like to see what it is too. You know. So, but both are totally acceptable. Right? We did a stop and we did a clear interval. And obviously, what did this stop? Timer, right? But how did it stop the actual internal clock? Right? How did it stop it? How did they know? Yeah. That's it, right? It just says, hey, there's this timer going on. I just want to clear. I want to stop it, right? And clear it out. All right. So this is a method I saw a lot of us doing, which is the ones that did complete the lap piece, where all we're doing is capturing that time when you hit the lap button and appending it to that HTML lap. Just going, there's a new lap, there's a new lap, there's a new lap. And then when I hit reset, I wipe it all out, right? This is a lap. What was it? This. Okay. No. So what is a lap? So when the counter is going, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, lap, it'll record the 8 someplace, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I hit lap, it'll track what the 8 is and continue counting, right? Just like a stopwatch would, right? And when I clear the stopwatch, I clear the laps. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. No, it's okay. Yeah, it's been a while for me.
What is that? That just convert after the colon plus T.
Yeah. So this you talking about the time converter?
No, the down below.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's just a way to display it, right? So this is just going to be all just an HTML that we're appending to that, right? So it's just a paragraph tag, lap, the lap number, and then just a colon. I think use pipes, whatever, any kind of delimiter.
What is converted though?
Oh, what is converted?
It's a higher up in the back. Just scroll up in the back. See that?
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Right. So only so much I fit on the screen. But yeah. So that converted is tracking that particular right? And this writing out some HTML. The suggestion I gave Ray, which was more complicated, was creating an array of each lap and spitting that out. But I think both ways would be totally acceptable. All right. So before we go today, we do have a small homework assignment. All right. All right. And we have one of two options. We can do a basic quiz, which is going to be like a timed form. All right, I'm going to cover this in a second. Or we can do an advanced assignment, which would be timed questions. So every time you answer a question, you only have a limited amount of time to answer it, okay? So we're going to create a new trivia game folder in your GitHub pages, in the Git. Okay, I just want to make sure we're all remembering how to use the GitHub repo. We haven't touched it for a few weeks, so it's really important that is. Also, In my GitHub repo, I'm saving all my stuff I do in class. I've been putting it out there. So you guys want access to it, I'll give you the access to it. All the activities I do in class, even the extra stuff, the slideshows, I'm just kind of keeping it all in there. Just good practice for me to update my stuff. So anyway, create a trivia game folder. Never had the Git pages, never had to do that. Create a folder. Then we can push and pull our Git pages, right? We're going to create a README file, right? To describe what the application is, right? We're going to add it to our portfolio. Okay. Now this is going to be part of our portfolio. Style and theme are completely up to you guys, and remember to just pull your assignment to Git pages. So this is the full thing. We're gonna make the application, right? We're gonna have a repo for it, place for it to live. It's gonna be accessible in the outside world on our Git pages. We're gonna add it to our portfolio. So try to do it. Try to have some fun with that. Let's see. What do I give you? So this is what it's gonna look like. This is what the advanced version looks like. All right. Holy trivia.
Here we
Sorry.
Here we have the more advanced version of the trivia homework.
Oh wait, hold on. I got video. You guys ready?
We have the more advanced version of trivia homework. Now don't be afraid of the word advanced. It's really not that much more difficult. You can do this, and it's important to remember that one of the best ways to learn something is to challenge yourself. Okay? So now just like with the other version, you press start to start the game. But you'll notice here, one question is shown at a time, and the timer ticking down applies to that one question and not the entire game.
That was the advanced version.
When we click an answer, it will tell us whether or not we were correct or incorrect. It will give us the correct answer, and then with no user input at all, it'll move on to the next question, as it did. By no user input, I mean no mouse click or key press is necessary to move on to the next page. It'll just show whether or not it was the correct or incorrect answer for a few seconds. I think I had it set for 3. You probably want to make it a little bit longer than that. And then it moves on to the next question. Now we also see here that the time remaining is ticking down. When that hits 0, shows us we're out of time, shows us the correct answer. And then with no user input, moves on to the next question. And again, you probably want to make that a little longer, but for demonstration purposes, I kept it short. Okay, so now if we click through, by the way, you'll notice that this is a vaguely 90s themed game. Feel free to theme it however you want, style it however you want, as long as it has basic features outlined in the instructions and here in the video. Have fun with it. Okay, now when we get to the end here, you will see that it shows you the correct and incorrect answers. The timer is no longer ticking down. And when we click start over, it does not reload the page. I repeat, it does not reload the page. What it does is it resets the game. Okay? So that is the advanced trivia option, homework option. Yeah, have fun.
Yeah. All right, so here's the basic version.
This is the simple version of the trivia game homework assignment. It's fairly straightforward. You click start, it starts the game, and it starts the counter ticking down. Counter here is set for 30 seconds for demonstration purposes. Obviously, you'll probably want yours to be much longer, depending on the amount of questions you have, probably around 120 seconds or so. But that timer is set low to illustrate that regardless of whether or not I answer all the questions and hit done at the bottom of the page, when this time remaining hits 0, tells me I'm all done, that I didn't even guess the question right on the game that I made. Okay, so go back. Now we go through the answers. And also notice that you can only provide one answer per question.
What are those buttons called? Anybody remember?
Won't let you choose more than one answer. Okay. done, and it calculates the number of correct and incorrect answers. Now, I decided to make a somewhat 90s themed trivia game here, but you should feel free to do your game however you want, style it however you want. You should know enough CSS at this point that you can get something on the screen looking the way you want to, or at least very close to it. So be creative, have fun with it.
I guess we all sound like that. Yeah, so those are the two homework options. Who has questions about that? Everybody kind of know where to start with the trivia game? I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly like that. What does it do? What does it do? Week from today. Huh? Week from next week. I don't know. What does it do? I don't know. What do you want?
Says Wednesday.
Says Wednesday?
Yeah, 2 assignments. One is due next Wednesday. For 5.
You have to pick one of them, right?
Really? We can find out. You guys know when this one's supposed to be?
There's like the jewel game.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know he's got a lot of stuff going on, so.
Looking at the calendar. There's like a gem game. This one's way up here next Wednesday. Well, that's one, yeah.
Monday after.
Yeah.
So is this one the 11th?
Yes, this
Yes.
Yeah, I sorry I didn't have that information in front of me. I'm not sure. The documentation I sent, it's read as do it tonight. So I don't want to go by with what I read. So yeah, I would say I'll get back to it. Right, if it's done due tonight, yeah, I'm gonna see everybody by midnight, right? No, honestly, don't worry too much about it. I don't think it's. I mean, just work with it on your free time. If you guys have plenty of time, right? All right. I'll psych all this stuff out, and when I get a clear description of when this is due, I'll let you know. Hopefully not too soon. All right. All right, guys. Big power clap. All right, guys. I'll see you next Monday.
Question about the timer.